You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone, to the Captain John Doe podcast. I'm Mindy.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are so excited to have you back. Thank you all, first of all, for listening and writing your stories in. We are having such a great time going through all the submissions and starting to figure out which ones are going to make it on the podcast. And let me tell you, you guys have some crazy stories.
I look forward to recording days because I'm getting to see this for the first time as well. We're reading it in real time to you guys, all of your Captain John Doe and Captain Jane Doe stories.
Can't leave out Captain Jane Doe.
No.
There's not a lot of you, though. So let that be my first request. I want more Captain Jane Doe stories. Tell me some girl stories. I want to know more. So remember, guys, if you want to write in and possibly be on the show, go to our website, captainjohndoe.com, and you can stay anonymous. But you're welcome to use your name. We'd love to give you guys a shout out. So put your name on there or don't. Totally up to you. And remember, also follow us on our social media channels, Captain John Doe Podcast. You can find a lot of content there, including some shorter stories that don't make it onto the podcast. So head over there, follow on social. And lastly, we want to leave you with a couple of topics to be thinking about. Want to just start picking into your brain a little about these types of stories that you should write in with. So we created a little list of our topics to request. Obviously, you can send us in anything juicy, funny, weird, crazy, scary. We'll take it. But we'd love to have some stories about some celebrities.
Yeah, give us your time that you were traveling and there was a celebrity on the plane that might have been acting a little bit weird, or somebody that you've always been looking forward to meet and just happened to be sitting next to you, or maybe someone that you were flying with as a CFI or on your 135 operation. We
love celebrity stories. Other stories, how about some college stories? Shout out Embry-Riddle. We're both alumni from Embry-Riddle. Auburn, North Dakota, Purdue. If you went to one of these big aviation flight schools, we want to hear about it.
We know those 141 programs always have a little bit of juicy stories.
Got to be something spicy there. How about a time that maybe you broke a reg and you didn't regret it? Tell us why. Why did you break a regulation and how did that go down? And was there any repercussions from that? How about a story about maybe a weird request from a passenger? There's gotta be some crazy passenger stories. In fact, I have a couple. We'll see how much time we have. I do have some stories for you today about passengers because that always gets good. What about you or someone you know got fired?
Oh.
And why?
This is the place to tell it. I'm on a lot of Facebook groups like how probably some of you guys listening are. And there's a lot of people who just casually put that they were released from their job. If you have that story, feel free to share it. We don't know who you are. Leave out whatever details you want. But if it's a good story and you want it to be told, like you're itching to say it, but you don't want to like get in trouble.
Tell us.
We'll share it for you.
What about a time you had a bad sim partner? Yeah. I've been to sim training a few times. I'm type rated on the 525 and the citation longitude. Been to recurrent before. I have gotten really lucky with my sim partners. However, I know there's some horror stories out there about sim partners or even check ride experiences in real life or in sim. DPEs and check airmen can be characters.
We know you have check ride stories.
Yeah.
We know you want to scream it from the rooftop.
Tell us.
Let us know.
That's all the housekeeping for now. So let's get into our first story. Do you want to start, Kevin?
Sure. So I got a Captain John Doe story as a passenger. So the flight was Oakland, LAX to New Orleans. We land at LAX, and all I hear from a few rows back is some guy complaining about getting off due to a short connection. When the jet bridge hooks up, crazy dude tries to get off very quickly and eventually does. I board the New Orleans flight, 1 hour connection. And lo and behold, the same leathery redneck dude is sitting in my window seat. Dude was super lit and was supposed to be in the aisle. I told him keep the seat and I'll take the aisle. For the first hour of the flight, dude was offering to buy myself and the underage kid in the middle seat drinks for our troubles. He also kept offering us cigarettes, which he managed to spill all over. About 2 hours in, dude goes to the lab, spilling cigs as he exits the row. Dude comes back smelling like he just smoked a cig. Seconds later, the flight attendant runs up to our row and proclaims that police are coming to meet the person sitting in 27F, my name, when we land and they found the cigarette butt. At that point, I told the flight attendant the situation with the seat mix-up. Flight attendant gave me some attitude and said I should be sitting in my assigned seat. We land, and the redneck dude runs off the plane and eventually in a jetway with the flight attendants in chase. When I walked to the gatehouse, this dude was on the ground crying with a cop on his back.
What in the world? Okay, so the guy was just trying to be nice, gave up his seat. Something that I would do on our last flight. We even just asked someone to swap for us. But I guess you got to be careful who you swap seats with.
Yeah. So basically, because I'm trying to make sense, the wording was a little bit off, but the flight attendant saw the cigarette butts rolling all over the floor. So that's what gave them the alert to get the cops called.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you not allowed to have cigarettes on a plane?
I think it's because he smelled like cigarettes. So they probably thought he smoked in the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Because you're allowed to have cigarettes, right? You just can't smoke them, obviously. It seems like.
So there's a couple things in this. Like, one, anxious passengers trying to get off the plane immediately. And then two, obviously this guy seems like he was drinking a little bit. And then the seat mix-up caused the other guy to get in trouble by the flight attendants and almost the cops probably arresting him.
Yeah, the deplaning process. Gosh, some people are so eager. They're up before the seatbelt sign is off and they're like running to the front. Maybe they are about to miss a connection, but like, calm down.
The way I see it is it's the same thing as if you're stopped in standstill traffic and people are trying to weave in and out of lanes, making zero progress.
Well, and then you have the people that are too patient. Like, it gets to their row and it's like a surprise for them. Like, oh my gosh, have you not been seeing the deplaning process the last 15 minutes to know that it was your turn to get up and get your bag? And then I'm squirming. Like, okay, you don't need to rush, but also be ready when it gets to you.
Just be ready.
Something that I've noticed on some of our last flights, our last commercial flights that I really like is that flight attendants have been so good about announcing tight connections to passengers on board, saying, hey, if you have a flight to Athens, New York, whatever, you're still going to make it. So just be ready and ask all the other passengers to stay seated and let those people off first. And each time I've been in that situation on an airplane, everyone complied. Even everyone in first class sits down, lets all those people with tight connections get off. It's just the honesty system, but you can tell those people look really stressed and let them up. And I think that's really cool. I'm glad that flight attendants are doing that because I could have used that several times in the past.
Sure. We talk about this all the time. Like, me and you travel a lot, right? We go to the airport and we see thousands of people there just losing their mind because they're so stressed out because that's not normal. It's not common for them. So having a connection just adds to that. And here's a little fun fact. If you have a 30-minute layover in Atlanta and you're worried about your bags are going to beat you to the plane most likely before you get there.
Right. I see some memes online that's like when you're in the TSA line, it's like it's not only their first time at the airport, the people in front of you, it's like their first day on Earth. And I felt that the other day. I went through pre-check the other day and it literally felt like it was those people's first day on Earth, not even just at the airport.
Tell me what part of the airport experience bothers me the most?
You driving in, you can't read signs for shit. It's hilarious. Like, you are such a qualified individual, but the second we get on airport property driving to an airport, especially one you've never been to before, you turn into a 16-year-old that just got their driver's license. And I am like, oh my God, just follow the signs, Kevin. It's so clear. All right, next story. I think that a lot of the pilots listening are going to relate to this on how it's difficult to explain aviation to your family members that aren't used to being around small aircraft. If you guys aren't aware, there is a subreddit on Reddit called Am I the Asshole? AITA. And basically people put stories on this thread. And the commenters will vote if they are the asshole or not. It's kind of a fun thing, but people throw stuff out there all the time. This one is about aviation, of course. And at the end, Kevin, I want you to answer first if you think they are the asshole or not. And then I want you to think what the commenters think. Okay. Am I the asshole for freaking out that my daughter took her children in a small airplane? My daughter has always loved airplanes ever since her grandfather took her for her first trip in his small prop plane. When she was finally old enough to take lessons, she threw herself in, dedicated, got her pilot's license. Her grandfather was a farmer, and when he died, he had quite a bit of money, of which he left her a great deal, being the only grandchild. He also left her his airplanes, a late 80s Cessna and the antique prop plane. My daughter flies whenever she gets the chance, now having the time, money, and aircraft to do so. It's always worried me. I have a fear of flying, so I've never gone up with her. Recently, she had twins, a boy and a girl, our first and probably only grandchildren. They're 8 months old. She and her husband live in Kansas. My husband and I live in Iowa. She, her husband, and the twins recently flew out for Christmas. I didn't really stop to ponder how they flew up, since she just had the babies with her, and I thought American Airlines or Delta or something. A couple of days before they left, she was showing me some photos on their cell phone, and a few were taken in a vehicle that I had never seen, but I knew it was an airplane. Turns out she used some of her grandfather's money and bought a Twin Otter 300, and that's how they flew out. I was mortified that she would take her children up in a small aircraft like that. She could have crashed. In the photos, the babies are all bundled up in their car seats and wearing those wraparound baby sunglasses and ear protection. I can't see how in the world this is safe for a baby. I asked her who was watching the babies while she was flying, and she said her husband was. Apparently, even in a small plane, the flight is only a little over 4.5 hours. She said that the babies slept most of the way. I realized this meant that they'd also be flying back in this small plane, and I got a little emotional. I begged her to fly back alone and let her husband fly back with the babies on a real airplane. I even offered to pay. She was so incensed and asked if I seriously thought she'd do anything that might harm the babies. I had to say no because she's been a very competent mother, but this is just too much. Small airplanes crash all the time. When I Googled pictures of the plane she'd bought, half the pictures were small planes nose down in the ground. They left the next day as scheduled and flew back in her airplane. They got home safely, but I couldn't stop worrying that anything could have happened to them. After they got home, she sent me an email. Weird, telling me that apparently I had insulted her and hurt her feelings and that she was going to have to limit contact with me for a while until she was over it. I don't see how being concerned for my infant grandchildren makes me a bad person. Was I an asshole?
This is an easy one. Absolutely. Okay, the facts matter here because...
First of all, great airplane choice.
One, the mom is obviously a qualified pilot. She's got her multi-engine rating, more than likely a lot of other things.
No, she has her. Oh yeah, it was
a Twin Otter.
I know. I just thought it was Otter for a second. Yeah. Twin Otter. So
like this question would be better off suited if it was the mom taking her kids on a discovery flight
with a stranger pilot.
Something that I have happen sometimes. Mm-hmm. That would be more reasonable. But this, where the mom is a qualified pilot and a Twin Otter, nonetheless, with their infants, the best time to fly kids is when they're infants because they're not going to be able to do anything. So easy question. That just goes back to not knowing, what aviation is. And it's hard to argue with the grandma because they'll never know. Like our family has no ties to aviation.
Right.
They slowly are learning more and more. And my mom is the worry.
I did. Okay. I wasn't going to say this reminded me of your mom because your mom is not an asshole and she wouldn't overstep like this, but the way that the mom in the story worried about small plane and not knowing small planes and like being fearful of the unknown essentially reminded me a lot of your mom.
I don't have a problem with them worrying.
Yeah, because okay, step 2 on that. I don't have a problem with people worrying if they give me a chance to explain the facts and qualifications and say, no, this is safe because, and I'm confident in this because, and then they take that.
Yeah.
But if they just deny it because of their own unreasonable fears, that's where it gets annoying, which is what happened with this mother and
daughter. The person matters more than anything in this scenario. Like she is a qualified pilot. Like I get it. If you come fly with me here in Vegas and you book a discovery flight and you put your 2 kids on the plane and your parents get all upset, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes a lot of sense. But in this scenario...
And this lady's dad was a pilot. Obviously a very, established pilot. He owned multiple planes, all this stuff. That's how her own daughter got into aviation. Like, she knows aviation more than what she's letting on. So I would be really frustrated. If I was a daughter, I'd be frustrated. However, I just have to unpack the email. I would never send my mom an email.
They obviously have an interesting relationship prior to this.
Yeah, which also leads me to believe that the mom overstepped even more than the boundary because they're not close, obviously. They're not close to where the daughter didn't even mention how she was getting there, unless she left that detail out on purpose. But how did her daughter and husband and kids just show up on her doorstep and she didn't know how they got there? That's strange to me. Okay, so you voted her an asshole.
Sure.
What do you think that Reddit voted her?
I think that the majority of people would probably be on her side to an extent because they don't know aviation. They're not taking into account that the mom is a qualified pilot and a Twin Otter is not a small airplane.
Right. Okay, well, I'm not leading you off a path. What do you think that the consensus was?
I think they said 100%.
Asshole?
No, that
100%.
I'm sorry, that the daughter was the asshole.
Oh, no. They voted the mom an asshole.
Really?
Yep. So we're in alignment. Okay. There's a follow-up from the mom. I hear you all, and I'm prepared to accept that I was way over bounds on this one. Someone told me I was even more of an asshole for arguing with them. I wasn't trying to argue or justify, just presenting the things that scare me and why my daughter flying alone doesn't bother me as much. In any case, maybe it's time to do something proactive. I'm not ready to get into a plane with anyone. I've never flown nor been out of the U.S., but maybe some therapy or something.
Oh, my gosh.
How does she have a dad that's a pilot and never flew? Shame on that dad for not, giving her the gift of flight.
Not even going on a commercial airplane. People are terrified of flying commercially, but they still do. They still do.
And then one comment I'll read, because I could get into this for hours. Someone said, you're the asshole. How come you're okay with your daughter flying, but not the grandchildren? Don't you worry about her? In any case, it's not that risky. Cars are statistically worse. And this is coming from someone whose dad died piloting a small plane when I was 17.
Yeah. Is there anyone on there that agrees with the grandma?
I'm just doing a quick scroll, and I probably just scrolled through at least 20 to 30 comments, and all of them say you're the asshole.
I'm kind of shocked at that.
Yeah.
Knowing the airplane itself is enough to me to not need any more information. Knowing that she has a Twin Otter, which, good for her. Who the hell has a Twin Otter
that
they use for
too.
personal use?
Yeah, she got left behind some money.
Has a Twin Otter.
Cool.
All right, that was good. Okay. So my next story is associated with the current hiring climate. As we know, it's a little sidebar. I'm not starting into it. Hiring since the COVID boom has slowed down pretty good.
Hiring for pilots.
For pilots, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me be specific. For pilots, it's tough sledding. Really, it's not. If you look at the data, I don't want to get too into the weeds, but we're on average what it was before COVID. But the problem is my CFIs and everybody that I work with that taught me how to fly hit 1,500 hours, got hired at the airlines. I should step back. They hit their CFI. They got their check ride. The next day, they were sitting in the right seat at a job. Just for some backstory. Today, that doesn't really happen as much. You got to know somebody. You got to work a little bit harder. All right, so here's a story. I recently got my CFI. And as we know, the hiring market is tough. With that being said, I was offered an interview at a school. They told me it would consist of the interview, teaching a lesson, and then a flight with one of their CFIs. Here's the kicker. They told me I would have to pay for the plane and the CFI's time. What do I do?
No.
Is this normal?
No. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine applying for any job and that's part of the interview you have to pay, and not a small amount? Not like, oh yeah, when I applied to college, there was a $50 application fee. No, like to rent a plane and pay for their CFI. That's disgusting.
For a CFI job.
That's disgusting.
Like, some people might argue, well, regionals are making you pay for your ATP now. Well, you need an additional rating to do that.
Well,
you don't need an additional rating.
You must have that qualification to have that job.
Yes.
So they can justify.
That is more justifiable. Whereas here, you're fully qualified for the job. The job listing says CFI or double I, whatever it is. And they said to get the job, you have to pay for dual given and the airplane.
What a joke.
No, I would run from that. Because you don't even want to work for that company, because if they're making their own future employee pay, what are they going to do to you? Like, I don't know.
Okay, I have two stories I'm waffling on. Should we end on a lighter note or a crazy passenger story?
That's the last one. Probably crazy.
Crazy? Okay, I guess it's not super crazy, but this is an annoying passenger story. I was flying a PC-12 for a 91K/135 company. For those of you that are unfamiliar, a 91K operation is one in which the company has a fleet of aircraft and a large owner group. Ours had 450 owners and 45 aircraft. Every owner owns a share of an aircraft from as little as 1/16th to as large as one whole aircraft. In their ownership of a share, they're entitled to use the entire fleet and network. This is what's known as a fractional. Think NetJets, FlexJet, Wheels Up, PlaneSense, etc. The other part of this business model was strictly 135 or charter. We did about 10% of our flights as charter. Without fail, it was the charter customers that were the largest pains in the ass, neediest, and rudest 10 out of 10 times. I could have guessed that. Anyways, on this particular day, the captain and I were scheduled to pick up this couple and their two kids out of HPN, White Plains, New York, for a charter flight to Hilton Head, South Carolina. HPN always delivered on some of the worst customers simply because when you combine the average New Yorker and an F ton of money, such as what exists in Westchester County, you tend to get a pretty awful set of people. And today was no different. As this family walked out from the FBO to the aircraft, I knew we were in for a long ride. Mom and dad were mid to late 30s, already in a heated argument as they walked out to the airplane, and their two younger boys in trail, around 7 or so, were both engrossed in their iPads with headphones on. They entered the airplane without so much as a hello. Okay, fine, no big deal. That's how some people operate. I'm not going to get hung up on being impolite. It's status quo in the corporate industry. Anyways, fast forward and we're up in cruise. I get a tap on my shoulder from the woman. I pull my headphone aside and ask, how can I help you? She asks if we have any alcohol, and I say there should be some in the catering drawer, and she says, nope, there's none left. Do you have any more? So now I have to unclip from my seat, head back to our aircraft stocking bin in the aft cargo storage area, and on my way by, I check the catering drawer, which is bone dry. We're an hour into this 2+ hour jaunt. Mind you, this catering drawer is stocked every single flight with 3 Tito's, 4 Jack Daniels, 3 Casamigos, and 4 nips of rum. They, or she, went through all of it. I say most likely she, because she looked like any other wet drunk you'd see stumbling around, hair in a mess with smeared makeup caked on outside of a seedy bar in downtown Manhattan on any given night in New York.
See?
It's very descriptive. Your typical rich soccer mom. It was typical for some reason that the charter customers would always raid the entire catering basket and drawers, even taking some stuff with them on the way out, packed into their purses. We are talking $3 small bags of Lay's chips and other snacks, just the craziest shit I've ever seen. And these people have absolutely no control or dignity. So anyways, I give her more booze, walk back to the cockpit. The rest of the flight goes on as usual. We land in Hilton Head and I open the air stair and say, "Welcome to Hilton Head." The husband's the first one out and remarks, "Weird. This doesn't look familiar. I don't think my car is here." The wife then comes barging out in all of her class and screams, "What do you mean your car isn't here? This is Savannah, right? Why isn't your car here?" She turns to me and says, "Why did you bring us to the wrong airport?" I said, "Ma'am, this is the airport you and your husband requested." And I showed her proof of the flight form that they filled out that scheduling sent to us. The husband turns to me and says, "I think I booked the wrong airport. I meant to fly to Savannah, Georgia." Now, for those of you that don't know, Savannah is also known as Savannah Hilton Head International. This guy literally told the company to fly him to the entire wrong airport. Now, at this point in time, the entire family moves this argument onto the ramp and out of the airplane. They're frantically trying to figure out what their next step is with the FBO, and I took a peek into the back of the airplane. It was a fucking mess. Cheeto dust smeared on the walls, drinks are spilt, trash all over the place, pen stains all over the seats, open food everywhere. I picked up a brown paper bag she'd been throwing open containers into, and it literally fell right through the bottom all over the carpet in the airplane. I mean, it was out of a horror movie. I gestured to my captain so he could gaze upon the mess, and he shook his head, but he smirked as he motioned for me to come over. I crouch walked up to him as he pulled out our trip sheet and pointed to our next flight. A repositioning flight, meaning no passengers, empty leg. Flight from Hilton Head, South Carolina to, you guessed it, Savannah, Georgia. I bursted out laughing. He said, "Do not tell them. Do not say anything. I don't want those people back on the airplane." Of course, I obliged to his request. You see, the passengers only bought and paid for one flight. The next flight to Savannah was completely unrelated. Had the passengers known, they might have requested with the company that we take them there, and we were not about to let that one fly. Now, to make matters worse, this was mid-COVID, when rental car or Ubers was extremely hard to come by. They had to have one of the guys at the FBO drive them an hour and a half via smelly airport car to Savannah, all while the captain and I took the 20-minute hop over in pure bliss, knowing we'd get there at about an hour and 15 minutes before them. In any case, this is just one story. Over my 18 months working that job, I have enough stories to write a book, or for the book to write itself.
These are the kind of things we want on the Captain John Doe podcast. Exactly what I'm looking for.
Someone commented, like, I would have made sure I was waiting on the ramp for them when they arrived.
I thought you were going to end it like that, saying, like, "Hey, guys."
Because his car was at the airport, so they could have easily ran into them and may have even like unintentionally, because by the time they get there and took an hour to probably clean up that airplane, they might have ran into them, which would be so hilarious.
The first thing that came to mind, and you've kind of shared this to me, is when you're dealing with customers in the private aviation space, there's old money and new money. How does old money treat you?
Amazing. Old money is old, worn out sneakers. They're unassuming. They're the people that you would look at and be like, they don't own the jet. There's no way. But they do. They're driving a 20-year-old Toyota. Old money. Respectable.
They'll give you a tip. They'll bring you food.
They are extremely typically respectful to you and the crew. Make sure you're taken care of. Hey, how are you? What are you guys going to do this weekend while we're here? New money is the types of people that charter a PC-12 and tell everyone they chartered a jet.
New money is the type of people who charter to Hilton Head, Savannah, and go to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and then demand that they get put back to Savannah.
New money destroys the cabin of aircraft like that because they feel entitled and say, we paid for this. We paid so much money for this, so we can leave it how we want to.
New money gets plastered on a 2-hour flight.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a bunch of stereotypes, but it pretty much checks out.
True.
I think almost anyone in aviation and in the 135-91 world has experienced both types of people, and probably in both types of settings. Like, there's some outliers, but generally, if you are on a small aircraft and charter world, you're going to see lots of new money, unfortunately, and it's rough.
So I have to imagine that somewhere in the contract, there's a cleaning fee if you decide to ruin the $4 million jet.
Yeah, but I'm sure those people put up such a huge fight that it's not even worth it. They probably try, and that one bark back, I bet they don't even charge it. But someone else had commented something like, the best passengers, and exactly to your point of new money, old money, the best passengers that you could get on a charter PC-12 is the old money people that own or charter normally a G4 or something, and they're reasonable enough to say, oh, the PC-12 fits this mission, we're going on a super short flight, and they're going to come on and be super respectable and awesome. And yeah, there's a lot of different types of passengers, but that was a funnier one. I just, like, whenever he said that their next flight was to the airport, like, you can't make that up.
Amazing.
That's hilarious.
I got a deadhead to Savannah. And guess who we're not going to tell?
I know. Okay, one last question before we sign off for today. If you were the captain at FO, would you have felt bad or not? Would you have told them or not?
Based on how he described how they were and how much they trashed the plane, probably not. Like, if they were nice,
not their job too.
If they were nice, we would have brought them. Like, I'm sure they could make that work. Like a deadhead, I'm sure they could have made that work.
100%.
But you trashed the plane. Like, it's probably not even usable for that next flight based on how this guy told the story.
That's rough. Well, guys, thanks again for tuning in to the Captain John Doe podcast. Captain John Doe has been giving us some great stuff lately.
Just remember, keep sending us these in because we need those submissions. That's how we keep this going. I want you guys to drive this podcast because it's fun for Mindy and I. Like, we get to read these for the first time to you. You know, we're experiencing it. Mindy doesn't know the story I'm telling. I don't know the story she's telling me.
Right. And even the ones that we choose to read, I only skim it. I might read like the first and last paragraph and say, yeah, this seems like a good story. But I don't even read it word for word. So a lot of it, like that last story, a lot of that was a surprise.
There's really no stipulation to it.
Yeah. So we are loving doing this podcast with you guys and can't wait to have you listen in on the next one. See ya.
See ya. Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.